Hi, I'm Tom from Takamine, and today we're going to show you how to restring your Takamine nylon string guitar. Today we're going to take you through the process of stringing it the right way, and you'll see that it's really easy. But I mean, if it seems complicated to you, there's no shame in taking your guitar to a tech to have it done. But if you watch this, you're probably going to be able to do it yourself just fine. So for this, you're going to need a few items. To take the strings off and to trim excess strings, you're going to need some side cutters. And then to string the guitar up, you can use a string winder, or in my case, I'm going to use an electric string winder. It just makes it quicker and easier. To clean the guitar and to condition the fingerboard, you're going to need some polish and some fingerboard oil. We're going to need a variety of different cleaning devices like Scotch pad for the frets, paper towels for excess fingerboard oil, and a rougher cloth and a super soft cloth for cleaning the guitar off. We're using D'Addario normal tension Pro Arte strings. That's what Takamine strings the guitars with. Of course, you could use extra hard tension or hard tension on the guitar depending on your desire for tension. But we're going to string them today with normals because that's what we string them from the factory with. This guitar obviously needs new strings. The silver wound strings are totally tarnished and the guitar has been played a bunch and it's time for it to get a good cleaning and reconditioning. So we're going to start by taking the strings off. As long as you're going to remove the strings and change the strings instantly, you can go ahead and take off all the strings. It makes it a lot easier to clean the guitar, and it doesn't really hurt the guitar to take them all off at once, especially if you're not going to leave the strings off for months and months. 5 minutes, 10 minutes of having the strings off the guitar is not going to change the wood. So let's start by just clipping the strings. And now we have no strings on the guitar. But we need to take and start to remove these. And the easiest way is to take the string, push it down towards and through the hole, and just continue out. And there it goes. So we'll do that again here on the A string, all the way through to the high E. Voila. Same sort of thing on the headstock. You just want to be very careful. Also, good idea to wear eye protection during this because you could always hit your eye when one of these strings is coming out. So you just remove these strings, being very careful not to abrade the sides of the guitar. You want to make it very clean and just continue on all the way through. So now that we've got the strings off, our first objective is to get the guitar clean and ready to accept new strings, make sure everything's in good condition. This guitar is pretty dirty, so I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning it with polishing. I like to actually spray it on the cloth rather than spraying it on the guitar because that way it doesn't well up in areas where it could get stuck, and just give it a good clean. It's probably a good time to do that, and you can get under the strings, which is so nice because it's so hard to get under the strings, especially on the headstock area. And give the back a little clean too. Oh, look at that beautiful Indian rosewood. So now take the softer cloth and just give it a light buffing to just take off any excess. And the soft cloth is nice because it's really gentle on the guitar. Want to do the same thing on the headstock up here. Now, slot headstocks, I think that's where people feel that it's a difficult thing. When you're tuning a steel string guitar, you're tuning from the side. When you're tuning a nylon string guitar or a slot headstock, you're going to be coming from the bottom of the guitar. That's something to consider, and that's why if you notice on the table here, I have the headstock underneath so I can get a tuner winder under it without having to tilt the guitar on the side, that sort of thing. Next thing we want to do is take a little Scotch pad here and a little bit of fingerboard oil. So I take just the tiniest amount of fingerboard oil and put it on the fingerboard. And then I'll take a paper towel and actually just rub it in real quick with paper towel to get the the oil distributed kind of. You don't want to put too much. This is an ebony fingerboard, and you don't want the wood to crack over time, and you don't want the frets to unseat or anything like that. So having the fingerboard conditioned with a bit of moisture is always good. Then I like to take a Scotch pad and just knock off any tarnish that might be on the frets, you know, to keep them smooth and silky. We're not talking about a whole bunch. This is not very abrasive, but you don't want to use the pad anywhere else on the guitar other than here, because this can scratch. And this is looking pretty good and ready to get some strings now. So I'm going to go ahead and open up these strings here and grab the low E string. The nice thing is these guys, they'll put the actual name of the string. This is 6th E, so that's the low string. That makes it easy. Just take that and set that aside because you're not going to use that. Then as you unwrap the string, most manufacturers' strings look like this. At one end, it's kind of stiff and hard, and at the other end, it'll have a little floppy, almost like looser wind here, as opposed to the end where it's just straightforward. You want to take the loosey floppy end and put it in. And so what you're going to do, first feel the saddle, make sure there's no burrs on that could cause any problems. It seems very, very smooth. Otherwise, you would want to hit that with some sandpaper, but it feels pretty smooth. You go over the saddle, there's a little tiny hole in there that this pokes through and comes out the other side. Can you see that? And so then you take this to where the floppy section is, and you're going to come around over top, under it, and then through it like that. And then maybe sometimes you could do 2 just to be extra secure. And then boom, there it is. I tend to want to take the low E string and push it forward like that. And then I'll wrap them as they go through on the next strings. But that's pretty much what you're looking for right there. Pretty straightforward and simple. And then up here, we're going to set the string through. Now, with nylon strings and slot headstocks in general, you're going to want these 2 strings to go inward. You're going to want to wrap towards the center of the guitar. So you're going to set this in. Give a little bit of slack, not, you know, about like that much, if you can see what I've got going here. And then I bring the through the slot headstock, and then oddly, I'll go under and towards the inside of the guitar. And we'll just leave it like that and put my finger here. Now we're going to take that string winder, and I'll hold it here for now, just lightly, not heavily. So you keep that forward, and you see how the string is just wrapping over it and creating winds on the inside. There, now you're done with that one string. Then what I like to do is I like to pull this guy out and clip it. Voila, one string done. Now, let's do the second string, because I want to show one thing that we do to make this. So this says 5th, right? And it says A. And we look for the loosey floppy end like I was talking about. And we put that through. Same thing as we did on the other. Only now, if you notice, I'm going to take this end here and kind of tuck it under the string and then wrap around again and then come through once and again. And now you see that I have trapped the other string end, and I'm pushing this one forward to get ready for the next one. So from here, we just do it over and over again, 6 times. So I'm just going to continue through. Okay, just to reiterate here, I'm going to bring the post around. Now you want the winds going in this way, so push it through, bring it back around, and then this will lock the string in place by just doing that. So you get the winds going to where they're going towards the inside of the headstock. And now for the last string, I'm going to take and do my final tie off of all the excess here and then clip the excess. That's why you go from low E to high E so that it all kind of gets trained together and looks somewhat neat at the end. This one I don't need to have the extra long length on it either. All right. So now I'm going to take my side cutters and snip off the little bit of excess we got here. And what that allows is for a nice, smooth, not pokey kind of thing. When you're muting your palm on it, it's not going to poke you. It's not going to be anything sticking up or anything like that. So now we're going to go through and just stretch all the strings like crazy. And you see the motion I'm doing here. I'm pushing and pulling. You don't want to get too crazy on it, but you want to do it kind of thoroughly so that it doesn't slip on you. Nylon strings will tend to want to stabilize a bunch before, much more so than a steel string, because they're settling in. So you don't want to, restring your nylon string guitar 5 minutes before the gig. You want to have it sit around and get adapted to it, because they do stretch. Obviously, normal tensions will stretch more than hard and extra hard tensions. Extra hard tensions, they'll get to tune really quick. So now I'm going to grab a tuner, which I have one here on my phone. They drift a lot. As you're stretching, you'll see that it'll go down a bunch, but you have to get it to be stable. That's the thing. It's got to settle that knot. It's got to settle this. The string itself has to settle. And then we end up with something that sounds great. So the guitar stretches the strings for a long time, hours, sometimes, and you definitely don't want to go to a gig and perform on a guitar that has just been restrung. You want to wait maybe an evening at least until you go to perform on it, and then you're perfectly fine to get back on your Takamine guitar and enjoy it. For more information on Takamine guitars, visit esptakamine.com.